So, thank you, Anoja, for that introduction. I started learning meditation with Venerable Homagama Konnanya and my father at the age of 15. And the focus was Anapanasati meditation. My interest then was to be able to attain a mindfulness that helps me in my studies. And that was the only intention. However, as I grew older, especially in my 30s, I started meditating with the intent of not getting born again. And while I have no idea how that works, I believe, like most of you do, that this will probably get there eventually. So Anapanasati was the first technique that I practiced. And I realized that I am definitely not good at it. And what I mean is we are so used to measuring our progress of meditation by what we believe is the right outcome. And what I thought was the right outcome was my ability to be concentrated without my thoughts going wandering around. And what I did find was all I did in meditation was trying to get my mind back to meditation because it was wandering around the whole time. So I thought this technique probably doesn't work for me. And I was looking for other techniques. We all know basic techniques that is usually available in Sri Lanka, right? Like Metta meditation, Buddhanusati and all. Many other techniques that I tried. I also went to the Mr. Goenkaji's 10-day retreat after university. And while that was a very interesting technique, none of them caught my fancy for whatever the reason. And for a long time, I realized that metta meditation seems to be my thing. And I would just be with that. I found whenever I do metta meditation, it helped me feel very calm, very peaceful. And I started wondering why that is. And I started studying on the internet, whatever that is available about the mind. And I discovered a lot of things about what scientists have studied on evolutionary biology. So this is different to medical side of things because whatever I learned, I checked with my doctor friends and they had no clue what I was talking about. So I realized that this part of science is probably not what they teach in medical schools. Anyway, it's there in the internet. So what I realized was we are wired. There's a almost what I call a factory operating setting. If you think of humans as a product. I think I have been at Unilever for too long, so I'm thinking of products. That's what we do. We manufacture products like soap and shampoo. So I like to think of humans as a product and a design. And there is a factory operating setting to the design. And that setting is set at a very basic level. In evolution, our brain has evolved from being a reptilian brain to a mammalian brain to currently the prefrontal cortex, which is the most advanced brain on this planet, belonging only to the human species. Now, unfortunately, the factory operating setting is wired at the reptilian and mammalian brain, which we still have. It's not naturally wired to the prefrontal cortex. And I thought that made a lot of sense because myself included, none of us seem to be behaving in the way humans are meant to behave. We mostly display animal tendencies. And therefore, I thought that that makes a lot of sense. And whenever we want to behave like a human, it takes a lot of effort and concentration. And through, again, evolution, we are wired to do the easy thing, which is to not think at all and do things by autopilot. So you find that many of our responses are automatic because that is the most energy conserving way to live. It made a lot of sense as later on, as Anuja mentioned, when I was teaching in Dhamma school in my, I would say, early 40s, that I realized that I'm learning Buddhism properly for the first time, because the last time I learned Buddhism, I was in school and it was for the purpose of passing O-level. But now I was learning Buddhism for the purpose of teaching, but also for my own intellectual curiosity as to why, how does the mind and the body work, and why do we speak and behave in a certain manner, why not in another manner. And when I studied the Pancha Upadana, I realized this whole automatic wiring, especially the wiring of the reptilian and the mammalian brain, the natural animal responses that we have, how that actually can keep us bonded in this journey. And in order to break through, we have to rewire our operating system to the prefrontal cortex, where you can consciously decide on what you want to speak and what you want to do. And that all that made a lot of sense. And the way I understood was that, okay, we are born with a certain wiring and that doesn't work. It keeps you bonded to samsara. So if you want to get out of this cycle, you need to rewire yourself. So how do you rewire yourself? That was the question I had. And I have a lot of gratitude to all the monks from the time of the Buddha up to now, who have made tremendous effort and commitment and sacrifice to bring the word of the Buddha to us today after so many years. Because thanks to them, we get to hear the original word, so to speak. So again, you have to decide what sounds like the original word, because it's very hard, given that there's a lot of things that have mixed into the word over these years. So for me, a few monks that I go back to again and again. One is Venerable Ajahn Chah, and the simplicity of his message, which Samudra, you read out in your minutes also. Just sit and observe, do nothing. Everything you need to know about the universe, you'll find out in your own mind and body. Those things really appealed to me because I was struggling so much with the so-called traditional techniques, which I struggled with. It didn't seem to appeal to me for some reason. And I was really interested in Vidarshana. And the Goenkaji technique was about sensations, observing sensations. I wasn't a big fan of it, so I thought, let me try Cittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. And whatever I learned from books and listening, I tried them and it didn't stick. It didn't seem right. I kept going back to one example where you remember how the Buddha instructed a young monk to stand in the doorway in the morning sun and wipe a piece of white cloth, right? Saying Rajo Harang. I forget what it means, but the Rajo Harang example stuck in my mind, and I thought, if the Buddha was here, he will help me and he will do me my own version of Rajo Harang that works for me. And in the absence of him, I was thinking, how do I figure out what will work for me? Then recently something inspired me. There's a YouTube channel called Niwan Dakimu, and there's a monk who does not disclose his name. He said that you all have to find your unique, whatever that works for you, your unique approach, your unique path, based on the theory is all there, it's all out there, but you need to wade through it and pick one or two things that works for you and stick with it. And I thought, okay, so this calls for more than intellect. I thought, let's go by intuition. And I thought intuitively what works for me. So I know metta works for me. I thought, okay, that's good. But I have practiced it for a long time and I didn't think it was taking me beyond a point. And I thought, let me try Cittanupassana, but let me try the way Ajahn Chah is saying, to do nothing and to observe. And I like to explore Buddhism in English medium, and especially when it is being taught to foreigners, because for some reason, when it is a foreign language and being taught to somebody who is not a born Buddhist, speakers just get to the point. And they cut the fancy stuff and they just get to the point. So I thought, let me learn meditation like a beginner. If I am a foreigner and somebody's teaching me meditation, how will they teach? So I went on various apps that teach meditation and started listening. And basic mindfulness instruction was sit comfortably, close your eyes and observe. And observe what? Nobody said, just observe. So I thought, okay, let's start there because that seems to be the kind of thing Venerable Ajahn Chah is also saying, just observe. Now, for years, I had read the instruction of Ajahn Chah and I kept asking myself, observe what am I supposed to observe? And recently I thought, okay, there are 6 sense doors. So whatever we experience from the 6 sense doors. So let me observe that. Now, I was sitting, closing my eyes in the meditation posture, and I thought, okay, so that's out, eyes are closed. I'm not eating or drinking anything, so relatively, you can consider the tongue is shut down also. So eyes are shut down, tongue is shut down. So there's just 4 sense doors left. So let me observe the 4 sense doors. And that worked for me. So I was just observing the 4 sense doors. And what do I do next? I thought, let me not worry about what to do next, because I think that is one problem we have. We want to know the full story before we even get started. And so let me stay where it's simple and it's progressive. And the next step, I will know what to do next. Let it come to me. Let me just figure it out. So what I'll do is I figured up to 3 steps, very, very simple 3 steps. Rather than tell you, I thought it's better to do it because this is all about doing. Another thing I realized was in the Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, the Vedana piece, feeling. I think we quite underestimate the fact that humans are purely, mostly driven by what they feel. I didn't realize this because I, for a long time, thought I have a rational mind and I thought I make logical decisions. But even the evolutionary science shows that we are not capable of making logical decisions. All our decisions are made based on how we feel at that point. So even if you, a thing like buying a car, even if you do all your research and all the data is right in front of you, what it says is that the final decision you will make based on how you feel about it at the time you're making the decision. So this sounded absolutely right. And therefore I thought, okay, from the whole Pancha Upadana Skandha, if you take first the sense dose, you get a sense experience and the sense consciousness arises. And then you realize that you are feeling something, and based on what you're feeling, everything else starts unfolding. And we feel these things, whatever it is, whether it is positive or negative. And ever since I started observing what these feelings, I hardly found anything neutral. I find at a very, very subtle level, there's something always positive or something always negative. And it's what do you say, conditioned based on the perception of what I think about it, how it is, how the memory is in my brain, and if it is something I'm experiencing for the first time, how does it relate to something else that I already know? So the easiest example is the flavor of ice cream. If I'm having an ice cream flavor that I have never tasted in my life, I will at best try to equally twist it like vanilla chocolate strawberry or something else. And the same goes to if you're in another country and tasting a different meat that you never had. We all know that it all ends up tasting like chicken because your reference is chicken. So with that, I was thinking, okay, so I have read quite a lot that there is a trap here. There's a mental trap. And what I feel is that trap is in the perception and the feelings that automatically come. And Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. So Sankhara is the place where, if at all, there is some element of choice. If you are mindful, even if everything, every cell in your body is telling you to do something, if you are mindful, you can probably will yourself to not do it. But your desire or your aversion is there. So possibly whatever the karmic element that gets formed by that is probably there, but at least you are not going to say anything or do anything. And I thought that is still a better place to be than just go the full Monty and just fully just respond based on that feeling. So that is where I am, and that's why I said it's a very basic state where whatever I feel, whatever desire, whatever aversion, I just know that there is desire and there is aversion. Perceptions are the same, nothing has changed. Only thing is, once in a way, I am aware, and therefore I consciously try to decide what to do next. So let's practice the Cittanupassana in three very simple steps. I hope you will practice with me. So the three steps, I will just tell you what to do, and I invite you to just try it out for 5 minutes. I'll keep the timer here for 5 minutes. Then we can uh, talk about how you experienced it, and then go to the next step and so on. Is that okay? Hope that is okay. Yeah, okay, cool. I can see you nodding. All right, cool. So let's try it out then. Sit comfortably and gently close your eyes. So we are at the very, very basic stage of mindfulness, which is um, just focus on your sense doors. You have your hearing, you have your ear can hear, your nose can smell, your body can feel, and your brain or your mind will have thoughts. So step number one is just observe. We are usually the doer, we are doing things. Here we are for the change, the knower, we know. So if you hear something, you know that you are hearing something. If you smell or sniff something, you know that you are sniffing or smelling something. If you feel something, you know that you're feeling something on your body. And if you're thinking something, you know that you're thinking something. So let us start. I'll keep the timer for 5 minutes. You can start now. Sabbe Attam Bhavantu Sukhi Sattvam. Now you can gently open your eyes. So before we go to the next step, I'd just like to ask a couple of you, when you were observing, what did you observe, or what did you do in the last 5 minutes? Anyone wants to share?
So perhaps I will answer the question. In my case, as soon as I close my eyes, I observed the hearing, whatever sounds that were coming. And also I observed that my mind was neutral towards those sounds. And I suppose because I'm sort of used to the practice of Anapanasati, then my mind went to the in and out breathing. So then after that, I was observing the in and out breathing. But of course, with the in and out breathing, when you hear a sound or whatever, then you notice this is a sound. Or the fan, touching my body, I notice that. But then again, I go back to the Anapanasati because that's what I'm used to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Anuja. Thanks for that. Anyone else?
Yeah, it was similar. So for, I think 3 of the 5 minutes, right at that moment, the Chumpang guy decided to come. And all I could hear was that. So any other time, I would have got pretty annoyed because now I'm supposed to be meditating. But I just listened to it for the entire 3 minutes or whatever. But each time, I also kept having to bring my awareness to the nose, as in breathing. The moment everything was okay, I think that's through natural practice. Otherwise, the mind tends to go somewhere and you don't even know it has gone. So when you bring the awareness to the nose, I think we have been trained like that. So that's what I observed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Samudra. Anyone else?
Yeah, Nadisha, a similar experience. I'm sitting near a fan, so I could feel the breeze from the fan on my arm. Then I was observing that. Then I also felt the slight coolness on my skin. I stayed like that for a while, but because I am also used to Anapanasati Bhavana, my mind went there, wanted to do it, but I thought, no, I'm supposed to be observing, what I take in from the senses. So I took my mind back there. Then the phone rang. So I heard and then observed that I am hearing that sound, and of course decided not to answer it later. So then again, a thought came to me, okay, is it time now for us to end this? So I observed that thought, it went away, and then focused on the strong sensation of the breeze on my arm.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Soma. Really appreciate that. So you again, I believe there is no right or wrong. Everything you experience is very, very valuable. All three of you mentioned Anapanasati being an anchor. That I also have experienced, and I think in many techniques, the starting point is Anapanasati, and it's a very good anchor point to come to when possibly there is nothing to observe. So I happen to have the same experience. And it's also amazing how you start hearing things that was always there, but because we were so busy being busy, we didn't hear or we didn't feel. The fan example that two of you quoted, same thing. The fan was always there, but I never heard the fan or I never felt the fan. But when your mind quietens down, you start to hear. So thank you for that. So let's move to the second next step of it. And Anuja, you are already there in that next step, which is then to observe the feelings associated with the sense experience. So the feelings can be positive, they can be negative, they can be neutral. And we refer to them as Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, or Dukkhama Sukha Vedana. I simply think of it as something I like, something I dislike. Now, I call it, I consider it the next level because it's almost simultaneous. You are hearing a sound and you realize that you don't like hearing the sound. And this can be very, very subtle. So generally, when I meditate, I live in a house with 10 people, right? My parents, in-laws, kids, husband, and a few others. So you can imagine that it's really quiet. And while generally I don't hear anything, when I start meditating, I hear everything. And so far, unlike you, Samudra, and great job there, I have never come across a sound that I didn't have a slight degree of aversion to during meditation. Every sound I hear, I notice that there's a slight degree of aversion. Very faint, sometimes very subtle, but it is there. So in the next stage, just observe while you know what you are experiencing through a sense door, observe what the feeling, associated feeling is. Okay, shall we give it a go? Everybody clear with that? Yeah, perfect. All right, another 5 minutes then. Here we go. Let's start now. Sate Satta Bhavantu Sukhi Sattva. Now you can gently open your eyes. Perfect. Who would like to share? Please.
So I think somebody who didn't speak last time, please, respond. Someone who didn't speak last time.
Navisha, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Manori.
To add to what I have to go back to the last time had I spoken, there was in addition to hearing the feeling the fan and the sounds distant, those sort of fade away fairly soon, within about a couple of minutes, I think. But I'm left with a predominant feeling of my just upper limbs hanging sort of lifeless, but it's totally into that. And there's a tiny, I can't explain, like a vibration or something going down the hands, not painful at all, not not pleasant, not unpleasant, certainly neutral. But that is the predominant feeling. The fan and things just come and go. This is sort of more persistently there. Second time round also, we looked for, it was just very neutral. But I can't feel anything else but the hands. I mean, when I say hands, sorry, arms, both equal.
That's perfect. So, Dr. Manori, did you notice any feeling associated with that? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
That's what the feeling is predominantly that I'm feeling. It's an absolute feeling.
Okay.
And it's neutral, absolutely neutral, where I'm also used to that. Everything else is not there, just that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Dr. Kalita, would you like to share something?
Yes, it are just some different sense experiences coming, mainly from sounds. So some children in the neighborhood, not the immediate neighborhood, but in a little distant away, they were shouting and maybe they were playing. And then some chirping of the birds, at least 4 different kinds I recognized. And just got the feeling, the recognition of those auditory inputs as different forms of sensations, and that's it. There was no subsequent reaction to it, neither attachment nor aversion to any one of those recognized auditory experiences.
Okay, wonderful. Dr. Kalita, hopefully there are no mosquitoes around you. I notice you're outdoors, right?
Not so far. Not so far. I think very soon they will do the wounds. Then I can see how I'm going to react to it, but
yes,
I know.
yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. You can share with us.
No, there was one for me where my entire body recoiled at that. I mean, I could feel it in my body, but then I just observed. And then the rest of it was very neutral.
Perfect. And you give a small dam to the mosquito, right? Bless you. All right. Wonderful. Anybody else? I can see Ms. Ranjini and Ms. Anoja with the videos on. Would you like to share something?
Anoja Vijayaratna, you have raised your hand. You have to unmute your button, please, if you are speaking. Do you want to speak? I don't think so.
No, that
is there anybody else?
Okay, so I think in the interest of time, let us go to the third step, and then Manoja, we could have our usual discussion that you facilitate. So in the third stage, what I do, and that is where I have come to in this technique. I will just share with you what I experienced and why I use that as a third technique, or rather third stage. Um, so one day I happened to just wake up at 4:30 in the morning for no reason. And I thought it looks like one of those days where I won't immediately go back to sleep. And I thought, okay, since I'm up anyway, let's experiment a bit more with this whole technique. So um, while meditating, a couple of things happened. So one is because it was still dark. I am not fond of dark at all. So a couple of times I was thinking whether, even though my eyes are closed, whether I should put a light. And I realized that I have a fear. Of course, I know I have a fear for the dark. But I realized that sitting in the dark with my eyes closed was giving me a sense of fear, and putting the light on will help to solve it. Also, in spite of the fan, I was feeling very sweaty, and I was wondering whether I should increase the fan, and so on and so forth. And I was wondering, now what is going on here? I mean, this was not like hours and hours of meditation. This was just probably 10-15 minutes of meditation. And one thing I realized was that there is almost an unconscious will inside me to want to control things to my liking. And we all know this, right? We all know this. But um, I didn't realize that will was so powerful for such, I would even use the term useless things, right? I would consider wanting to switch on a light, wanting to change the fan, and various other things that I was contemplating of doing were not really required, because honestly, the meditating environment, there's really nothing wrong with it. Of course, all of those actions would have mildly improved the environment, but they were not serious requirements. And what this showed me was that there is a very strong will to control things, especially if things were not to my liking, the whole aversion side of it. And I realized that why I'm getting this impulse to do this and do that and change the environment was because there was subtle levels of aversion to the things I was experiencing. And there I thought, okay, seeing this will, the will to keep controlling and keep changing the environment versus um, one concept that I keep carved in my mind is an instance where the Buddha said there's nothing right, nothing wrong, nothing good, nothing bad. It is what it is. Just experience it. And I was thinking, this is a typical moment where there's really nothing right, nothing wrong, nothing good, nothing bad. And I was not ready to experience it. There was a strong will to keep changing things to my liking. And my past experience with changing things to my liking, I know that I will not be satisfied and I need to change them again. And there I thought, am I seeing that will, that life affirming will that is taking me from a birth to birth, trying to be in control, trying to change? Is this the I that I have been looking for? And I was thinking, this is probably that I, this is me. Hey, fantastic opportunity to meet me face to face. So therefore, the third stage I call meeting the I, seeing that will, that compulsive will to keep being in charge, being in control, the doer, to be the doer and not the knower. And that is the third stage of it that I would like you to practice. So, so we'll do a 5-minute practice and then we can open for discussion. But before I end and before we start the practice, I want to also share just a small thought. I mentioned before that I was looking for my version of Rajoharan, and recently I stumbled upon it, which at least at this point in my life, it gives me a kick to indulge in. So I'll share it with you. So I kept going back to something I heard from Ajahn Chah, which is everything you want to know about the universe, you can find out through your mind and body. That intrigued me a lot, and I thought, so what do I know about the body? Because I thought the mind is far too complex to figure out, but the body is reasonably less complex. And I thought, yes, so we know that the body is made of whatever the bones and the flesh and so on, and then it's their cells. And from the science known to man, we know that then there are atoms, and at the end of it, we are all a bundle of atoms, right? So if you take one atom, we know that there's the nucleus, and then there are the electrons going around it, and there is a space that an atom occupies. And if you think of the space an atom occupies, it's mostly empty, right? Because the material element is quite small compared to the empty space that the atom occupies. And I was thinking, if this is the most smallest level you can bring things down to, I'm of course ignoring that the nucleus has its own protons and neutrons. If you just keep it at nucleus and electrons for the moment, I was thinking, so what is the similarity about the universe and an atom? And I was thinking, suppose the nucleus is like the sun and the planets are like the electrons. So the solar system is like an atom, and the universe is made of many, many solar systems, and the universe is sort of empty space. And I liked this idea, and I was thinking, so there's a lot of empty space in the universe, and there's a lot of empty space in me, and I am part of the universe. And is this what I'm missing all this time? That because of my will to get attached to things I like and things I dislike, and attached to the minuscule material element in this vast space, and missing the fact that the space, empty space, is actually possibly the bigger and the perhaps better option. But I find peace in the known and safety in the known, which is the material part, and possibly fear the unknown, which is the empty space of it. And that is possibly what is keeping me still going. And unless I figure this out, I'll probably still continue to cling to that material, minuscule part of it. So that is for me my Rajoharan. So for kicks, I just look at the blue sky, the clouds, and think of the black empty space beyond it, and think this blue veil of atmosphere prevents me from really seeing the truth out there, which is nothing. And similarly, I look at myself, I see skin, I see flesh, and this prevents me from seeing inside of me, which is again nothing. And that's it. I haven't. That's all. But just thinking on these lines gives me some joy. So I'll just stop there. So let's finish the program with another 5 minutes of trying to see the will to be in charge, the will to control, and the will to change things in your experience of the sense door, by just observing what you're experiencing of the sense door. So I invite you for the last 5 minutes of this technique, and we can have a discussion on everything. And whether this is even Cittanupassana, I don't know. Maybe this is something else, but yeah, let's start. Sape Satam Bhavantu Sukhi Satam. Gently open your eyes. So if nothing, at least you got 15 minutes of meditation. So I don't think your time was entirely in waste. So thank you so much, friends, and over to Anuja.
So I don't know with regard to the last session on stage 3, whether we people have anything they want to say or ask a question regarding that.
Anuja, you want to share anything on the last?
So yeah, maybe I'll share something. So actually, certain, with my headphones, there was a certain sort of discomfort emanating from that, which I observed. And what you said, observing whether I was trying to observe whether there was a will for me to control this. But I think the mere fact that I was trying to observe it meant that there was no such sort of aversion. And then, of course, what I observed was the anicca, actually, the discomfort. It arises and it passes away. And the same with the feeling of now with the fan coming, initially you get a pleasant sensation. But then as you observe it, that pleasant sensation wears off. And again, you can see the anicca of that. So I kind of observe the anicca in all these sort of feelings and pains. And even when a mosquito bites, initially it's very uncomfortable. But as you keep on observing it, it kind of diminishes and then it goes away. And you can see the anicca. So I've been observing that quite a lot.
Fantastic. That's such a brilliant build for me, Anuja. Thank you for that. Thanks so much. Anyone else on the third?
Do people have other things? Are there any others who want to say anything? Now is your chance. So anyway, Nadisha, would you like to?
Yeah, so in conclusion, I was even wondering whether this is a Cittanupassana at all. And I was thinking it doesn't matter because labels, theories, techniques, all that should be to support in this journey. So whatever that helps us to understand the 3 characteristics of existence, Anitya, Dukkha, Anatma, probably will be useful. So, and that is why I thought I'll share this with you. So thank you for listening, and any thoughts, questions, comments, most welcome.
So if I can just add something to that, I think, Venerable Konnaja, now I have sort of followed so many sessions with Venerable Konnaja and also his retreats. I mean, he says that the moment something arises, just observe it. And the fact of observation enables you to see the anicca, and then it wears off. So I think that is something we can bring into our daily lives. When somebody says something nasty or whatever, some nasty thing happens, the mere observation of it enables you to see the diminution of that reaction on your part, that your reaction actually goes down, and then, you can become equanimous towards that, whatever that is. So I think, I feel that this sort of, now what you did was something like this choiceless awareness, that you can observe the anicca. That is very easy to observe. So I guess that is kind of a starting point. Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. No, thank you for that.
Yeah, so, and also I'd like to make a comment here that now the technique that you were explaining today, I think that is more or less kind of formalized by the technique that Venerable Olande Ananda teaches, because when he does the guided meditation, he asks you to just observe. And then when a sound arises, he says just observe, hearing, hearing, hearing. And then when a feeling arises, observe it as just a feeling, feeling, feeling. And then when you observe it like that, you can see the anicca. So, so I think that is also a similar approach where he is using this technique of choiceless awareness. And that is also based on the Satipatthana, because you're observing the feelings and the thoughts that arise and pass away. So what he emphasizes is to see the arising and passing away of all phenomena. So that actually there's nothing called the me, I, or anything. It is just arising and ceasing, arising and ceasing. So that process can be observed. Nadisha, do you want to add something to that?
No, no, absolutely, Anuja, absolutely. I'm all for what you said. I was just wondering whether anyone else has other experiences to share in this technique, Anuja.
Nadisha, can you just take it one step further and tell us what to do next after watching all these things that are bombarding us? What do we do? Nothing. I know we don't do anything, but what's the next level?
So I think so thanks for that, Samudra. For me, I think in that third stage, I realized that a natural wiring was to keep changing things to suit my liking. When something is for my liking, I let it be. When it is not for my liking, I'm trying to change it. And given the unfair nature of things, it's a full-time job. And therefore, the better way is to do nothing and to just accept. And the reason why we are trying to change things is because we believe that we have a label for it, right? The perception, the label. And if the label is simply to say that everything is impermanent, so and just be here in the present moment and let things just be, then there is no strong will to keep trying to change everything to suit me. And the story moves from everything is about me to I can be at peace with everything. And I think that is the source of peace. So coming back to something Anoja said, because I'm working, I find many opportunities to practice taking place at work and at home with the people that are closest to you. It's funny that the people that you love the most and the closest to you are the people who annoy you the most, right? So again, another opportunity to practice and to say that, and this is where my metta practice, I find an opportunity. I find love should be unconditional. And if I really love somebody, I should be able to love that person in every form and shape and the words and behavior of the person. And for me, that is the practice. So no matter what somebody's saying, if somebody's saying something that I don't like, somebody's scolding me, and if I'm not in the mood to listen, because mostly I find whenever somebody's scolding me, they have they have a right point of view. I am at fault indeed, but sometimes I am not in a mood to listen, and then I think it's a noise. It's a noise. Right? And also if somebody's behavior is irritating, I remind myself that unconditional love is to accept a person in whole, including the annoying stuff. And there's research to show that when people close to you die, what you miss the most is the annoying stuff. And then I laugh to myself thinking, this I'm going to miss the most, imagine. And yeah, so the bottom line is, let everyone be, let everything be, you are the problem. And this practice then helps you to rewire yourself in that thinking that everything is fine, everybody is fine, you are the only problem. And therefore, rewire yourself that everybody and everything is fine.
Can I ask a question?
Please, Dr. Parikh.
Yeah, so Nadisha, thank you very much. That was a very interesting meditative session. Now my question is now, when the sense inputs coming to you, the recognition of that, the nature of that sensory input, is it not directly related to memory? So it all seems to be a function of the brain.
Absolutely.
I mean, where do we stand? Isn't it just a natural physico-chemical phenomenon that we are all entrapped in, sort of? You see something, some visual input will come, okay? It's just a sensation, a visual sensation. But my recognition of that, maybe as a flower, it's a rose or whatever, is really based on my memory. So if there's no memory and no brain, there's no way in which we can recognize these things. And if there's no recognition, the subsequent events of the feelings that arise from that recognition of a sensation will also not arise. So isn't there some person behind all this, the so-called me? But
Yeah.
we say so much there is no me and I, but everything seems to be centered around that. The
So,
physico-chemical phenomenon
yeah.
linked to the brain and brain function.
So, Dr. Paulik, I have this one slide to try and help that, which is the Panchupadana Skandha, right? So, this is where the whole Rupa thing is, where your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, brain gives a sense object, and your sense consciousness comes. So, with the eye, there's a visual object, and the eye consciousness arises, right? And then initially, the theory goes that very initially the feelings that comes are neutral until the memory comes with the perception. So your memory already is a biased memory, Dr. Paulik. That is the problem. Your memory is biased because our factory operating system is wired for bias. So the bias perception or the label gives rise to feelings of pleasant feelings, things you like, and unpleasant feelings to things you dislike. And with that, then comes the sankhara, which is the volition that is capable of creating karma. So your thoughts, words, and deeds then start forming. That's why it's called formations. It starts forming in accordance of what you felt. This is the automatic process. Now, all of this, what you see, you can't help. What you perceive up to now, from the time you were born up to now, those biases, you can't help. And therefore, all of these things come as an automatic process. But as we realize, this is what we call the pratyaksha avabodha. As we realize the anitya dukkha anatma, your perception, which is biased, starts changing into a labeling of, no matter what you are experiencing, it is impermanent, there is non-self, and it leads to dissatisfaction. Now, when the perception changes to that, then there's nothing to like or dislike. It's an equanimous situation. When it's an equanimous situation, there's no volitions and no grasping, right? So this perception getting changed to the three characteristics of existence, it happens through the Sila Samadhi Prajna. So the morality side of it is where we, knowing that we have our indulgence, we try to curtail it to a level, at a very basic level, and then as we realize, we start letting go, and the morality part is strong. By what we were doing today is the right effort. We are putting effort to observe this process, and the more we observe, we start realizing through wisdom that this is a trap. This is a trap that is coming in the operating system, and once you rewire yourself to this, then it will start automatically flowing in this direction and take away that life affirming will to existence. So does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Perfect. We are very visual beings, Dr. Paulit, and that is why I put this slide together, because I noticed when we see it like this, it becomes very clear.
Yes, thank you very much, Nadisha, for that visual explanation. So I think the time is up for us today. And I'd like to announce that next week we have Venerable Yoshi Shimada, who is going to talk to us on the salient features of Zen Buddhism. And Venerable Sir, you are with us today. Thank you for joining us, Venerable Sir. We can't see you, of course. Venerable Sir.
Good afternoon, Madam, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm really appreciated today's session. So I'm really glad today.
So thank you very much, Venerable Sir. We are looking forward to your talk tomorrow, next Saturday. And
thank you very much.
We hope that you can explain to us some of the Zen techniques also, because I think Zen Buddhism really goes to the heart of the anatta, no non-self aspect. So I hope that perhaps you can also conduct a bit of guided meditation for us next week, and we are looking forward to that, Venerable Sir. So
yes, I will.
Yeah, right. Thank you, sir. And to conclude today's session, Venerable Sir, do you think you could do the Ping Anumodana for us?
Ping Anumodana.
Yes, can you do that, Venerable Sir?
Okay. So I will. Sappitio vivachanto sapparogo vinasato mate bhavattvantarayo skidhigayuko bhava bhavatu sappa mangaran lakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotte bhavantu te. Thank you very much for everyone.
Venerable Sir, can you also guide us through transferring merit to devas and departed relatives?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Akasatta chabumatta devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran lakkantu lokasasanang akasatta chabumatta devanaga mahittika Anumoditva chiran lakkantu dhamma desanan akasatta chapumatta devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran lakkantu tvansadaha. Idam me nyavonang photut skita honto nyatayo idam mo nyatinang hoto skita honto nyatayo idam mo nyatinang hoto skita honto nyatayo.
Sadhu.
Sad. Thank you for guiding.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Nadisha, for conducting today's session. We wish you good health, long life, and may you continue to give us sessions like this, which have been very helpful. So, and also may your spiritual aspirations be realized in this life itself. And to all of you who have joined our program, may all your spiritual aspirations be realized in this life itself. And may you all stay safe, because this pandemic is raging. So please stay safe, and wish you good health, happiness, and long life.
Thank
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sad, sad, sad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadisha. Bless you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.